Hi, I'm Matt Crumpton. I host a podcast called Solving JFK, which attempts to analyze the puzzle pieces in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Each season, we have one big question to answer. In the first season, it was, did the Warren Report get it right? In the second season, it was, who was Lee Harvey Oswald really? And in the third season, we're going to try to answer a question that is maybe the hardest one to answer yet. If not Lee Harvey Oswald, then who killed President Kennedy? The mere premise of even asking the question, who killed President Kennedy, if not Oswald, is a potential admission to belief in conspiracy. That's because after studying the relevant information in this case over 61 produced episodes and 20 bonus episodes, I can't just forget everything that we've learned. For example, here are a few of the very high-level conclusions from Season 1. No one reliably identified Oswald on the 6th floor around the time that the shots were fired. Buell Wesley Frazier's story of Oswald taking the rifle into the building has real problems, including it being the wrong size and no one else seeing Oswald with this weapon. The medical evidence does not support shots from the rear alone, nor does it support the single bullet theory. Oswald had no rifle practice in Dallas, and in the Marines, he scored poorly on one of his 2 tests, the more recent one. The timeline of the J.D. Tippit murder makes it impossible that Oswald could have been in place to kill Tippit. Oswald insisted that he was a patsy, and he made a phone call from jail to a man in Raleigh, North Carolina with an Army intelligence background that has never been explained. And finally, Jack Ruby did not randomly walk into the police garage after being at the Western Union and kill Oswald. He stalked Oswald the entire weekend and planned to kill him in advance. In Season 2, we also learned a lot of really important things. For example, Oswald began to have instances of being seen in 2 places at the same time, starting when he was a teenager. That phenomenon would continue when Oswald was in the Marines. Oswald was likely recruited to work for the CIA when he was working as a radar operator for the U-2 project in Atsugi, Japan. The reason for Oswald's early medical discharge was a ruse that his mother helped him with. Oswald also applied to Albert Schweitzer College, a tiny Swiss college whose chief funder was a CIA conduit, according to the New York Times. Oswald's time in the USSR was as a witting false defector on behalf of the CIA. He was being used as bait in a KGB CIA mole hunt, and we know this from the routing of Oswald's CIA files and from the confirmation of legendary CIA officer Pete Bagley. Oswald worked with Guy Bannister when he was in New Orleans, and he attempted to infiltrate leftist groups. We don't know for sure if Oswald ever went to Mexico City, but even if he did go, he was impersonated when he was there. In Dallas, the Oswalds were quickly befriended and sought out by CIA asset George de Mohrenschildt at the behest of the Dallas CIA field chief J. Walton Moore. Then, Ruth Payne, whose sister was a CIA employee and whose father was an executive at a CIA cutout, met Marina Oswald at de Mohrenschildt's going-away party. Payne then pursued a relationship with Marina and convinced her to move in. Finally, this idea of Oswald being in 2 places at the same time continued and ramped up dramatically in 1963 when he was impersonated by others on dozens of documented occasions. Not exactly what you would expect from a lone nut. Based on all of those findings from the first 2 seasons, it's clear to me that we need to look at other potential culprits in the assassination of President Kennedy besides Lee Harvey Oswald. And this is where the study of the JFK assassination becomes so daunting. The sheer amount of suspects in the case is one of the reasons that it remains an unsolved conundrum today. That's why in Season 3 of Solving JFK, we'll put the potential conspirators under a microscope to see where the facts lead us. We'll start with the Secret Service and then move on to J. Edgar Hoover, Lyndon Johnson, Texas oil barons, the Soviet Union, Cuba, Israel, Cuban exiles, the Mafia, the Central Intelligence Agency, and finally, the military generals. Join us for Season 3 of Solving JFK, starting on March 5th, everywhere podcasts are available.